Good morning to you. I am Miss Helen Tenhaven, a city missionary with the Baptist Home Missionary Society of the Northern Baptist Churches. It is my privilege to address you as a person who had, by divine grace, a role in the founding of the Emmanuel Baptist Church of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. To begin with, I was born in Muskegon, Michigan. My mother died when I was but a baby. My aunt brought me up in careful Christian training. As a young lady, I attended the Baptist Missionary Training School, graduating in 1911. For 2 years, I worked among Bohemian immigrants in Detroit, Michigan. In 1913, I began work with the First Baptist Church of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Our efforts under the leadership of Pastor H.R. Best had been rewarded with such significant fruit that our meeting house was swarmed with people. The Lord brought it to my attention that while citizens living on the west side of the Big Sioux River were well served by First Baptist, there was yet no Baptist church on the east side of the river. I am known as a woman who gets things done, and this new church would be no exception to that rule. With Pastor Best's enthusiastic support, I set out to organize a church to serve the people on the east side of Sioux Falls. Under the supervision of First Baptist Church and the Baptist State Convention of South Dakota, I went to work to find all interested persons. This labor bore a harvest on the 7th of August, 1921, when 37 of us met to charter the new church. We selected the name Emmanuel because we were thoroughly convinced God was with us in this endeavor. Our material needs were supplied by Mr. Astor Blauvelt, who gave us a portion of land at the intersection of 2nd Street and Cliff Avenue, near the northeast extremity of the community. Our spiritual needs were supplied by Reverend L. W. Rogers, who was recommended to us by the state convention. He was on hand for our chartering service. We were pleased to add 55 members at a time from First Baptist, a number of folk transferred to relieve the overcrowding of their meeting house. Over the next few months, more of the First Baptist flock would join us. At that time, we worshipped in a small structure some called the Tar Paper Shack. I found that appellation disagreeable and discouraged its use. I thought it might discourage visitors if we described our meeting house as a shack. In point of fact, we were blessed to have our own building, and so many people gathering right from the beginning. I considered such a fine start to be a validation from our Lord Jesus Christ that we were on the right path. The fledgling church was on such firm foundation, I felt confident of its survival, and a year later accepted a call to Cleanburn, Wyoming, to begin a new work ministering to the children of miners. We established a Christian center which provided the light of Jesus Christ and some measure of joy in the dreary lives of these children. Ill health and an operation forced me to some convalescence, after which I was appointed to work in the Fellowship House in Omaha, Nebraska. Eventually I would take my leave of the West and return to Muskegon. Forgive me, I digress. You are here because of my time in Sioux Falls. I understand the church did not have to endure the tar paper shack very long. As the congregation continued to increase, they broke ground for a new structure in 1932, building a semi-basement first. In 1937, they moved into a finished edifice, still at 2nd Street and Cliff Avenue. I am informed the church moved into the old East Side Lutheran Church on Austin and Cliff in 1950, and subsequently built an impressive new home on 12th and Maple in 1969. Without any vanity, I can testify that the founding of a new congregation was one of the great achievements of my ministry. Among my many speaking engagements at conventions and women's missionary society meetings, I recounted the founding of Emmanuel Baptist Church in Sioux Falls. While I was tireless in my efforts at evangelism, teaching, and proclaiming the good news, the work at Emmanuel was never tiring. We were happy to serve the Lord, and the fruit of our labors was always readily apparent. The Lord had shown me that the east side of Sioux Falls was a field white unto harvest, and that was abundantly clear by the people who flocked to Emmanuel. We gave the church such a good beginning that she has survived the passage of years, thriving against a century of changes, vibrant in the strength only the Almighty could bestow. In parting, I would ask of you who now serve at Emmanuel, that you may be similarly devoted to the work, enjoying the divine fruit of your labor, ensuring the presence of God and worship of Him will continue into generations yet to come. You have been endowed with all you need. The Lord has made you more than equal to the task.
Hello there, friends. I am Reverend Rogers, but I'd prefer you call me Pastor Leslie, as that sounds so much more friendly. I have the honor of being the first pastor of Emmanuel Baptist Church of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. At the time of this church's founding, I was also pastor at Beulah Baptist Church of West Sioux Falls. I like to say it took two churches to keep me busy, but the truth is it took two salaries to keep the wolf from the door. Indeed, preaching at two churches and being chaplain at the George Mason post of our American Legion is more than a family man ought to endorse. I was grateful for the ambitious assistance of Miss Tenhaven. Her steady demeanor helped us weather the ups and downs of establishing a new congregation. We surely missed her after the Lord called her to Wyoming. One of the most fun memories of my time at Emmanuel was the father-son banquet of February of 23. I was Toastmaster and had prepared a program of clever speeches by a pair of deacons, a cracker relay, an indoor baseball game between fathers and their sons, and a special stunt by our 8 oldest boys. Say, the game of Who's the Goat was a hoot. After half an hour, I had to speed across town and had a similar program at Beulah. After 3 years' service to these two congregations, I announced my resignation on June 16, 1924. It was my intention to further my education at the Baptist Theological Seminary in Dallas, Texas. Being from Texas, I graduated from Baylor University in Waco. It was kind of a homecoming for me and my family. Reverend N.L. Haney succeeded me in both churches, then after 3 years left the ministry to sell insurance. Someone joked about the similarity of those careers. W.C. Erickson followed Haney, and he was succeeded by J.S. Jones. R.C. Krushwitz guided the congregation during the war years, and he was followed by Bob Williams, then H.J. Crandall. I understand Reverend Charles W. Newman oversaw the construction of the church's present edifice. Ballard Blount came after Newman, then Roger McCarty, Kim Liedtke, Randy Rasmussen, and another preacher named Best came to pastor a Sioux Falls Baptist church a century after Reverend H.R. Best had been at First B. Strange how things come around again, isn't it? To be sure, I shall never forget the years of service I gave to the Lord at Beulah and Emmanuel Baptist churches. It was an invigorating endeavor to form a new church, and I am entirely happy to see that Emmanuel Baptist Church survives an entire century of service.